Now this is a big analysis of this game, and even though I think the game will sound amazing, look amazing, and of course feel amazing to play, I have some horrible feelings regards to other parts of Diablo 4. Why, despite the good looks and promising words, this might actually not hold in the long run. This is not due to Diablo Immortal, but it is because of a lot of things. I've watched 99% of all the Diablo 4 videos out there just to get as much information as I can about this game. I also read about it, and now, just before the beta is released, if you get a couple of minutes, I would like to share my thoughts. Now Diablo has always been a game that we compare other RPG games to, but it is time to compare new RPG games to Path of Exile. Cause even if you get bored at Path of Exile, you can't deny that grinding gear games have made a game that is near unbeatable in the world of ARPG. And if you're like me, you'll go back to Path of Exile on almost every league, or at least the leagues that sounds interesting. Now Path of Exile has made that game almost endless with builds, but more important, a reason to keep playing. Let's go back to the world of Diablo 1 and 2. If you have played those games back in the days, you still remember the feeling of farming, making new characters cause you messed up the skills, or you wanted to test a new build cause you found a new item. Now a few years passed and we didn't play it as much cause we wanted something new, but nothing really came. And we did ask for a remake of Diablo 2 and we never got it. But then we got Diablo 3, and this is just me. I played it for 4 weeks and then I saw no reason to play it any longer. I did my rifts and the legendaries was plentiful. Many of us asked Blizzard to please just remake Diablo 2 or make Diablo 2 playable for us, because we didn't care about the graphics, but our computers were too strong and the Diablo window was a pain to fix and play on due to the small screen. But we never got it. There was no sight of Diablo 2 remake. Then right out of the blue, Path of Exile came. This blew my mind, and yeah, it's still regarded the best RPG today. Now years after Path of Exile got released, we got Diablo Resurrected. This was 10 years too late for me. I was a father and I did not have the time that I had back then. But the biggest issue was, I knew everything already. There was no excitement. I did enjoy the first weeks, but then I felt, why do I do this again? So as I'm saying all of this, you guys know where I'm coming from. And Diablo 4 has a lot to prove. And even though it looks nice, I can't help but have the feeling that this will be like Diablo 2 Resurrected. And that sounds like a good thing. But I'm talking about something that we play for a few weeks and then we get bored. What Diablo 4 needs is innovation with just as much great foundation. And sure, they have progressive skills, right? The visual of the skills is progression the higher level you get, which is a nice feature. But let's dive into this. And let me tell you what I feel. Now Diablo 4 is taking place after the Reaper of Souls, and hopefully not much carries over from Diablo 3 to Diablo 4. I have to open this video also with explaining that I'm a great Diablo 2 fan, as well as a Path of Exile fan. But even more Path of Exile nowadays, I guess. But I did spend 10 years of my life on Diablo 2, and I can't wish more for Diablo 4 to bring us something close to Diablo 2, and this is a hard thing to do. Not only because Diablo 2 was good, but we need that same experience once again, and we already got it. So how do you do that without changing the game so that it stays fresh and unexpected, and still keep the other things? It might not even be possible to recreate this feeling that we all want, and I'm sorry to say, I don't think Diablo 4 will succeed. I know this sounds harsh, but don't get me wrong here. Diablo 4 might be a good game, but I don't think that this will keep our interest longer than any Path of Exile league. Maybe a little bit longer since it's new, but you get the point. And if not, then this video will let you see the game with new eyes. Let me explain the issues I see as well as the good parts. Let's start with the character customization. I think this is fine, but I have a hard time understanding when this is actually needed. I do think it is a good thing, even though this genre mostly look at skills, progression and gear. But who knows? This might be a great start for a new type of ARPG. We got some class specific items that other classes can't pick up, and for me this is nothing. It sure is a nice feature in an ARPG game, but running around doing quests to even make the build work is not the most fun thing in my opinion. So let me compare that with Path of Exile. Here you have to do a trial of ascendancy on every character. Now the idea is fun for a while, but after a few characters this thing becomes a chore, and this might be an issue in Diablo 4. And I'm actually not sure how to think about this. It might be good, it might be boring. Looking at the UI, I feel that it looks good. Obviously this might change, but it's nothing I would consider an issue in any way. Now talking about the skill tree, and I can't say how innovative the nodes are, but I do like that it's more ways to cater to builds that we come up with. And I do think, and I hope, that the nodes are interesting and not just plain stats mixed with skills. I want my nodes to change the skills or the abilities totally, or at least in a big way. And Diablo 4 has the respec ability. In early levels it should be easy to respec, but the further you go the harder this will apparently be. And it seems like it will come to a point when making a new character is actually easier than respecing. Now this has two effects to it. Either players will hate it or they will love it, but I would say that it's a matter of how this game is built. If the game is meant to be endgame only, where everything you do is just one long grind, then no respec is very bad. It will put people off and it will become very tedious and boring if you don't have a respec. Now if the game is made to be enjoyed from the beginning to the end, then I would actually be okay with making new character if I mess up. So I think both of the system can be good, but it all depends on the game itself. I'm personally a bit weird because I can get bored at my character, for example in Diablo 2 or Path of Exile, and making a new character from scratch is a great feeling. And if I had a simple respec function, I would probably just keep grinding maps or rifts just a few minutes later, but also all I would do is grind maps or rifts, and that's not fun. One of the most fun way to play this game, or any games like this, is to not have a specific spec in mind and use whatever you find as you progress. And you know, if it works, it works. I hope that we will have this ability, otherwise for me playing hardcore is the only way I would play Diablo 4. Now talking about skills and respecs, the max level is 50, but on top of that you have a paragon to level 100. So 50 levels and 50 paragon? I don't really understand this. This seems like it's just something they made to make the game sound more in depth, but honestly it would work just as good with the max level 100. Diablo 2 was max level 50 though. Maybe they want to bring some feelings back to that, otherwise I see no reason to do this. We have a renown system in the game. It's a account-wide exploration bonus system. I do approve this a lot. This lets players explore the game more than just go for the end bosses. This is one of the most vital things connected to lore that we can have as well. So I hope this opens up the eyes to players that are unsure about the Diablo lore, as well as get them involved. And of course it's a great way to base expansions on lore. Then we got the Codex of Power. This is pretty much clearing dungeons and you get a lesser version of the legendary power that you can find on the real items from drop. This is kind of a taste from what you can get and use. Nothing that you actually really will use unless the game is broken and you need some powers just because it's just too good to pass up. And that's one of my fears, that everyone can have the same power, just put it onto another character or another build to make it work. I think this power has to be less power and just be more of a smaller boost. Now there's a lot of talk about the dungeons. So they claim they have 150 dungeons on launch, and this is kind of meant to be disappointing, because if they actually have 150 dungeons, like different dungeons, I would assume they have different mechanics and different monsters and different bosses. If they do that, then this is insane. But I can guarantee that this will be no more than 30 dungeons with different colors and the same monsters and the same mechanics. But if that makes the dungeons different, then I have to ask, isn't the dungeons procedural generated? Would this not make the game have thousands if not millions of different dungeons? I do like the idea and this is a good thing, but that they talk about it and state it as a big thing worries me. It feels like they just make up some stuff that really ain't that special just to hype the game up. And this makes me cautious. Now talking about random events out in the world, now this is pretty good. I do know that it will feel like a time sink at times, because we have many games like this today. And the recent one was Diablo Immortal. They also have these random events. You know, it's a cool thing the first few times, and then it kind of loses its fun. I do feel this is one of the better parts that they announced. But players today are min-maxers, and unless the loot is good enough, this can feel like just another time sink. So in Diablo 4 we got world bosses. You know, the ones that in WoW you and your whole guild went for every week tried to down, hoping for that epic loot, whether it's your quest chain or whether it's for some other stuff. It was good times. And if you were at the PvP server as I was, then also have the colliding opposite guilds and fighting for it was almost magical. And now we have it in Diablo 4. I would not rack down on the mechanics, but in an ARPG, having a week of cooldown is not what I was hoping for. I want to be able to farm them as much as I can, which might seem weird, but us Diablo players, we want to grind. 8 hours a day killing Baal over and over again. That was not fun, but when the stuff dropped, it was amazing. In Diablo 4, I can't help but feel that this will be less exciting and something that you need to do once a week, again, not to miss out. I think in MMORPGs this works, but it's a bit different since we have a ton of stuff to do, different ways to play the game, and in my opinion, Diablo is grind as much as you like and hope for the best, and this kinda limits that. Let's talk a little bit about PvP. I might be too old school, but toggling PvP to hunt players was a great deal of fun. I even lost my best characters due to PvP, and I still love it. Here we got announced that this will be open world PvP restricted areas, so anyone who entered this area are subject to PvP. So far, we know that the idea is to farm what Blizzard calls Seed of Hatred. You get this from players as well as monsters in this area when you kill them, and I don't see anywhere that we get to loot players. This might be a bit unfortunate, it's not a game killer, but if the Seeds of Hatred is something that you really need to get some stuff in the game, then this will force us players who don't like to do PvP to actually PvP, and that can be an issue. Personally, I would agree to this system, but I do feel that the old school PvP servers or toggling PvP to surprise opponents would still be the best. Talking about best stuff, I mean you need the best gear, right? So talking about gear, normal, magic, rare, legendary set and unique items will drop in Diablo 4. And the most important thing in an action RPG is the gear. I don't see anything amazing, I don't see anything really bad, except that the legendary powers seems to give bonuses and never a downside. There's kinda no reason to use different gear as in Path of Exile, where you can find a really good unique item but you have to counter it with something else. Now the gearing part is what will fail in this game unless they really know what they're doing. Otherwise, how it looks, how it plays, how it feels does not even matter. Now talking about pay to win, I don't give a fuck. I ain't paying to win, I'm gaming to come, so just give me a great game. Okay, so we got Battle Pass in Diablo 4. Please, for the love of God, why would we want this? We don't. I know that Blizzard does, so this tells me a little bit that this game will not be the amazing sequel that we have waited for in over 20 years. It might be Blizzard's hope in trying to fool us into thinking that this is something great. But having a battle pass on an action RPG today, this is a big no-no for me. All I want is the great community and endless time to slay demons for that sweet loot. I don't want anyone or a battle pass to tell me what to do not to miss out on yet another thing that everyone else gets. And if I will see some pay to win shit in this, I wouldn't be surprised. Now what do I feel about the crafting? Well, it's basically give stuff to an NPC and he can build it. All I can say to that is, yeah, sure. We got transmogs in the game and I just want to say thank you. And I really hope that Diablo 4 will grab most of their money through this system. That would be all okay. Give us stuff to buy or earn in the game to help us create our deepest fantasies. Just stay away from stats on them. Also a little bit about mounts. Yes, give us mounts, but keep stats away from it. We will buy it if it looks good. And I wouldn't be surprised if they have a mount in the battle pass that actually have stats on it, so I told you so. Alright, Blizzard has been talking about rune words in Diablo 4. So we will have sockets in this game and I can't be more happy. We missed it in Diablo 3 and even so in Diablo Immortal, but the talk about rune words can really heighten the game. Just like Diablo 2 Lord of Destruction did to Diablo 2 the base game. Farming for runes and trying to get great rune items was a key thing. I hope it will be the same here. Now the end game and the future. What I do think is a great thing that Diablo 4 does is that it takes a lot of stuff from other games as Lost Ark, Path of Exile and implement it to itself. If they succeed or not, it's to see, but it's a great way to look for what works in other games and copy it, evolve it and reuse it. This is what Path of Exile did with Diablo 2, so in a way it's kind of fun that Diablo 4 does the same thing from PoE today, and these changes can make big difference in how Diablo 4 will play. I do hope this game will go well, and it would be a real change if this one stays with us for a long time. We all know how Blizzard has been running their company for the past years, and we have seen that they back then have taken less to no interest in what gamers want. Can this be a change? I want to believe, like Fox Mulder says, but I will not be disappointed again. Will I play the beta? Yes, I will actually play the beta. I got it as a gift, so I will play it. And will I play it on launch? Well, it depends on how the beta goes, but you know, most likely. Because I always have to try the game out and get the real feel for the game. But I do feel that the money for Diablo 4 is on the high end. It might not even be as good as Path of Exile, and Path of Exile is free. But will this be the game that year after year we just scream for more? Due to many factors, I say no. It's not very inventive, but it does grab some good stuff from the predecessors, so it will be great to see. I see you guys again.